NPR reports on what Trump claims he wants to do in the first 100 days he's in office. The link's in the description if you want to read below, but I'm going to go over a few of the many, many points. Probably a majority of them I'll be covering, and just telling you what I think. If you want to know how I feel about the election overall, link in the description to the last video I posted. But if you've already seen that, you should know. So let's just get right into it. So here are some of the things he said, and I'm just reading this off. I'm going to try to cut it as little as possible so it just feels a little more natural, like we're having a conversation, you know? So first thing he has on the list is to propose a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on all members of Congress. That's a great thing. No one disagrees with that. We shouldn't have these termless limit congressmen, senators. It's insane. They become career politicians, and that's not a good thing. Everybody agrees with that. So good. Trump 1, sadness 0. Another thing he put is a requirement that for every new federal regulation, 2 existing regulations must be eliminated. Okay, so we're already off to a pretty bad start. Obviously, that's a terrible idea. Trump has been purporting for well over a year now that he wants to deregulate and deregulate. And this is just a silly law, something that seems childish, I would think. Every time you want to propose a new federal regulation, whether that be something for the FDA or anything, any new federal regulation, 2 regulations need to go. It's like it's a game, but I'll move on. There's a lot to cover. Like I said, you can read through the article in full depth if you'd like. Another thing he says, a 5-year ban on White House and congressional officials becoming lobbyists after they leave government service. All right, not bad. I would say get money out of politics altogether, so that's not an issue, but that's at least a step in the right direction. Kind of tied to that, he also said a lifetime ban on White House officials lobbying on behalf of a foreign government. Again, right direction. And he also said right after that, a complete ban on foreign lobbyists raising money for American elections. Again, money out of politics. Those 3 words would have just removed all 3 of those sentences from needing to be said. He also said that he will announce his intention to renegotiate NAFTA or withdraw from the deal under Article 2205, which is, of course, NAFTA. All right. So withdraw from NAFTA is obviously preferred, since NAFTA is a terrible trade deal. At least, unlike the Trans-Pacific Partnership, you could call it a trade deal. Which brings me to the next point. I will announce our withdrawal from the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Awesome. Another good one for Trump, I would say. Everyone would say. Like 3% of Americans wouldn't say. Everybody else would. And that's one good thing about Trump over Hillary Clinton, is that Clinton was for the Trans-Pacific Partnership. That alone makes me think that you are pretty unqualified to be president, just saying you're for the TPP. But that's just me. So good on Trump for that. He said he will, and then this is where it starts to get kind of garbage. I will lift the restrictions on the production of $50 trillion worth of job-producing American energy reserves, including shale, oil, natural gas, and clean coal. So basically, this actually, you know what? This ties in together with the very next one, which I should probably read as well. Lift the Obama-Clinton roadblocks and allow vital energy infrastructure projects like the Keystone Pipeline to move forward. So, Keystone Pipeline, oil, natural gas. Why? These are things of the past that are hurting the economy by restricting the progression of technology. It's hurting the... I forgot. Donald Trump doesn't accept global warming. He did say that it was a conspiracy made by the Chinese. So, despite, facts, it's embarrassing. If you're watching this and you're one of my European friends or you live somewhere else in the country, in the planet, it might be difficult to believe that there are people in the United States, the richest nation on earth. There are people here that don't accept climate change, and there are also people that don't accept evolution. They're deniers. It is really embarrassing. So if you're from a different country, I hope you enjoy the good laugh. But yes, Donald Trump is for the Keystone Pipeline, so he is an idiot when it comes to that. In completely unrelated news, wink, cancel billions in payments to United Nations climate change programs and use the money to fix America's water and environmental infrastructure. Okay, I agree with the second part, disagree with the first part. We do need to fix America's water. Flint, look at that. We can't even get clean water to Flint, and yet we have over 1,000 military bases. Over 1,000. Which brings me to my next point, discretionary spending. 55% of America's discretionary spending, that's a little over $600 billion annually, goes to the military. Now, I'm not going to be biased because I'm in the military. Biases prevent you from thinking critically. 55% of our discretionary spending goes to the military. Okay. We are the largest spender on the military. If you took the next 11 countries combined, the next 11 biggest militaries, China, Russia, UK, next 11, put them all together, still less than what the United States spends. I'm not saying, we have that $1.5 trillion F-35 program, which is a gigantic waste of money. We don't need the plane. The plane's a piece of garbage. We have the 22, which we barely just used in combat a year or so ago. We have the 16, which still works fine. No one's competing with us in air superiority. It's just a gigantic waste. I'm not saying we need to cut the military budget in half. I actually think we should cut it more than half, and we'd still be good. We'd still be bigger than the next 7 countries combined. I'm not saying we should cut it in half, but think 55% of our discretionary spending, if we cut just 5% of it down, so that we are only spending half of all of our money on the military, just that 5%, that could pay for, everybody's college, which is great for the economy and, just makes everyone happier because you're paying taxes to the government and you expect them to give you stuff back that you want. That's why you pay taxes. I give you money, you give the people what we want. One of those things is free college. That 5% on top of that could also pay for everyone's health care, which would be good for the economy again. We could repeal Obamacare like Trump wants so badly. Spoiler alert. We could repeal Obamacare. We could have single-payer health care. Cost of health care would go down tremendously. If you don't already know this, then you basically don't want to know. That's kind of the camp I'm in now. We have access to the internet. If this is new stuff to you, I'm sorry. There is no reason why we should be taking money out of important programs that help fight man-made global climate change and put them into something we do equally need, America's water, environmental infrastructure. I agree we need those. But look to the military first. 55. Look at this chart. Look at that. We need to make some cuts. We need some money to go somewhere. Where do you think we should look first? What's that on the left? What is that? That 3% science? So we could cut that. What a waste! It's so silly. To carry on, he also wants to cancel every unconstitutional executive order, memorandum, and order issued by President Obama. If he's referring to the NSA spying, which just completely raped the American people of their Fourth Amendment right, then sure, I agree. I'm not for the Patriot Act because I have an IQ over 80. If he's talking about Obamacare, which he probably is, and that's another thing. People forget, the president can't really do that much. This is the first time in a very long time, I believe since the 1920s, I could be wrong. But it's the first time in a very long time that we've had Congress, meaning the House of Representatives and the Senate, as well as the White House, the president, all three ran by Republicans. So, with a majority Republican Congress and President in the White House, it's very plausible that Obamacare will be repealed. Spoiler alert. I'm sorry I keep doing that. He also wants to begin the process of selecting a replacement for Justice Scalia from the one of the 20 judges on his list who will uphold and blah, blah, blah. Justice Scalia was a terrible person. He was an idiot. He was one of the worst people on the Supreme Court, in my opinion. And we all know the people on Trump's list. Not very many of them, if anyone at all, are very good people. That's a sad day for America. He also wants to begin removing the more than 2 million criminal illegal immigrants from the country and cancel. Okay, so I don't think anybody has a problem with that. If you're an illegal immigrant and you're a criminal, yeah, of course we should get rid of you. I don't think anyone's arguing that. Unless, and I might be a little more liberal than some people, if their crime has anything to do with drugs, if it's violence related, sure. But if it's drug related, and that's it, that's not a crime. This is America. We call ourselves a free country. The fact that we still have drugs such as THC, CBD, heroin, which we use in hospitals all the time. The fact that these are illegal just cause more crime, hurt the economy, make it more unsafe because people will use stuff that's on the street laced with other things. And you know what? Arizona was the only state, this is a little side rant, Arizona was the only state that didn't pass the law to make, it was Prop 205 here? Yeah, 205 to make marijuana legal. Passed everywhere else. There were some really stupid commercials like, oh, in Colorado, the money didn't go to schools, but it should have, and it did. The first $45 million annually tax dollars from marijuana went to schools. Even if the thing I wish people had a brain, even if you legalized marijuana and every single tax penny of it just went to the pockets of billionaires and didn't help anybody, we should still legalize it because it still gets a lot of crime off the street, still gets drugs off of the street, makes drugs safer, they're taxed, they're regulated, and America, freedom. You should be able to put in your body whatever you want. I can't believe this is 2016 and we still have to have this discussion. It is embarrassing. Okay, School Choice and Education Opportunity Act. Basically, he wants to end Common Core and bring education supervision to local communities. Yeah, Common Core is garbage. But the thing with charter schools and religious and home schools, they are not very good for America. If you start teaching people I have no problem with religion, with beliefs, etc. But in a global economy like we live now, if you are being brought up learning things like evolution is a lie propagated by Charles Darwin, even though he didn't have anything to do with the discovery of evolution, but 40% of Americans apparently don't know that, and you believe that global climate change is a hoax, and you're just teaching your kids all these things that are just factually incorrect, you are setting them up for failure. That's not fair to the child. They're a child. They can't choose for their own. They should be given a proper education and then allowed to make the choice once they're an adult. I'll get off my soapbox. Trump is an idiot. Repeal and replace Obamacare Act. Okay. Fully repeals Obamacare and replaces it with health savings account and ability to purchase health insurance across the state lines. Do you know what that means? So Obamacare, yeah, raised premiums. A lot of hospitals shut down. A lot of places I've done reports, places in like rural Georgia, small hospitals shut down because they can't afford to stay up. Closest hospital is 45 minutes away. You could have a heart attack. Ambulance, 45-minute drive there, 45-minute drive back because they can't afford a helicopter, obviously. And then all of a sudden you're outside of that golden hour and the patient most likely dies. I completely empathize with that. I work in healthcare, so I understand. Obamacare is a disaster. It was better than what we had before, but it's still a disaster. But the ability to purchase health insurance across state lines, that is a terrible idea. Common sense. If you are regulating insurance, and I'm an insurance company. I'm just going to go to the states that I want to go to. This one, I can get better benefits. I can do whatever I want in this state as opposed to this one. It's single payer. It's the only way to go. It is the only way to go. We have to wait about a decade or so for some of the older generation who just love to hold on to their stuff from the past, even though it's garbage. Gotta wait for them to die off. And then maybe we can get something done about single payer. We already are at a point where the majority of the population, the majority of Americans want single payer. And the vast majority of the planet thinks we're very stupid for not having it. You can look at countries that have way less money than us, the United Kingdom, Canada, and you could believe the BS on Fox News, like, oh, they have longer waiting times and all this other stuff that isn't backed up by any evidence. Or you could look at the fact that, hey, everybody's happier here. People don't die there from lack of health care. We have thousands of people that die annually because they just don't have health care. It's not because, oh, they need to get a job or, there's almost no point. Like I said, the internet exists. If this is new information to you, I'm sorry. I'm going to try to give my opinion a little less. Just give it a little bit. I'll move on. End Illegal Immigration Act fully. Funds the construction of a wall on our southern border with the full understanding that the country Mexico will be reimbursing the United States for the full cost of such wall. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, hey, if you saw the videos debunking the wall, for example, Adam Conover's Adam Ruins Everything from True TV, talking about, oh, well, the wall would have to be this long and I have to cut through this and that. Obviously, I don't support Obama, I don't support Obama. I also don't support Trump, guy we're talking about, next president. I don't support him, but he never said he wants a wall going across the entire border. If you actually look at what he said and how he lays it out on his website and all of his interviews, he wants to build a big wall, but he wants it in certain areas. He wants it covering certain parts of the border. It's still impractical. Still, it probably won't happen, but it might. Republicans control Congress now. I don't know. Might happen, might not. The point is, it's a terrible idea. The majority of illegal immigrants don't come here via the wall. They come here via an airplane, and they are on a legal visa. They overstay their visa. That is the vast majority of people who are here illegally. And people who come here from Mexico also come here via plane or dig underground. A lot of them. More of them dig to get here than people run across the border. More of them get here by boat than people who run across the border. So this wall, waste of money. Unless Mexico does pay for it, which they, even if they did, it's just a waste of money. Why? I digress. Last thing I'm going to cover, I guess you can read more if you want. Restoring National Security Act rebuilds our military by eliminating the defense sequester and expanding military. What? Why? Why? Remember this? Remember this chart? Do you remember that, guys? So, I get it. The military has way more money than it needs. But the thing is, we waste it. We waste it. We have a $1.5 trillion program dedicated to one airplane. That is insane. $1.5 trillion. Trillion with a T. That's crazy. Blows my mind. But that's what we have. And a government organization like the military, whose primary purpose is special interests in making money for companies like Lockheed Martin, Honeywell, Boeing. I understand there's still a little bit of an element of defend our country, kind of. Not so much recently. Like I said, we have over 1,000 military bases. We're in a bunch of unnecessary illegal wars that are just making it worse for everybody, including ourselves. But I'm a small, vast majority of people in this country who believe that. And not that numbers and belief make anything more valid, but we're the taxpayers. We pay the government money in taxes so that they do what we want, and they're not doing what we want, so that's a problem. So All I'm saying is we don't need to expand the military. If Trump does this, he's also said he wants to raise the wages of people in the military, which is completely unnecessary. We get paid so much in the military. So much. They pay for your housing, and then they pay you extra money because you always get way too much to afford housing. They pay for your food, and then you get money left over because they give you too much for that, and then they give you a paycheck. And then you get discounts on everything. You get your health insurance completely covered, your college completely covered. You get paid a ton. So yeah, if he does expand our defense budget and spending, that would be good for me, I guess, and other people in the military. We'd personally benefit, but I care more about the population. I'm a pre-med student. I want to become an anesthesiologist someday. I want to specialize in chronic pain management. I understand that the only people who could disbenefit from a single payer system are most likely those physicians, neurosurgeons, anesthesiologists. The highest paid physicians would probably take a gigantic pay cut, I imagine. That might not be the case because when people say we need single payer, they're not saying we need the same thing that every other country has. We're just saying use them as an example. We have more money than them. We have the best medical research in the world, the best medical technology in the world, and some of the worst healthcare in the world. But the first two things, best technology, best research, we could take a single payer healthcare system and we could make it better than Sweden's, Norway's, the United Kingdom's, Canada's easily. We have the resources to do so, but we're too afraid. Even though it would benefit everybody but those physicians, like I was saying, I would have no problem if, now you can say, here's a job opening for chronic pain specialist. Starting pay is, $700,000 with a $50,000 annual bonus, et cetera, et cetera. And then we switch over to a single payer system. And if this were the case and we started saying, now that $700,000 job now only pays $150,000. I guess when you verbalize it, it sounds really stupid because those numbers are still way more than what you need to live. But what I'm saying is I don't care about myself personally. I don't care about how it affects me, how it affects my family. I care how it affects the vast majority of people. And even that, I wouldn't be disbenefited in a huge way. If the budget was cut for the military, wouldn't affect me. They'd have to start cutting these stupid programs that nobody wants. If we had a single-payer healthcare system, one, I'd be covered and I wouldn't be afraid to go to the doctor via a $700 ambulance ride that's only 5 minutes long. But in the future, like I said, if I didn't get paid as much as a physician, I wouldn't care. It doesn't bother me. I care more about the population and the country and its well-being. Now that I'm off that soap opera, Days of Our Lives, we now return. I am going to end this video because it is way too long, and I am sorry. That's actually not too long. It's about average length for a video of this kind. So, but it's long for me, so I'm going to say thank you for watching, and if you liked this video, please do that, please.